everybody. I thought I would, mentioned last week I would do a sprouting video. So that's what I'm gonna do, a quick how-to in case anybody has felt too nervous to try sprouting or really not sure where to start. It's super, super easy, and the health benefits that you get into your diet, they're phenomenal, and without hesitation, it's something you should do. You can use any jar. Mason jars, little old leftover Dijon jars. This was, I think, maybe a jar from my kimchi or from my sauerkraut. It doesn't matter. So it doesn't quite fit. See, so we'll make it work. I'll show you a few different ways, and I'll show you a few that I've started already and exactly what we have to do. So what you want to do, I do get sprouting ones. You can buy just seeds, like seeds that you're going to plant. Of course, organic, what are they called? The heritage style seeds, those would be best because then there's no genetically modified stuff in there. I have one brand here from Now. It's broccoli seeds. And then all the rest seem to be mums. These are specifically sprouting seeds. So this is daikon radish. So it's a medium-sized seed. I have red clover, pretty small. I have wheatgrass, also medium-sized seed. And I have my green kale, small seed. And I have my alfalfa, super small seed. Okay, so the size of the seed only matters as to how long you want to keep it fully in water, because the bigger the seed, the longer it's going to take. You could do peas, you could do broccoli, you could do, I thought I had broccoli. Oh yeah, I have the small broccoli seed in the bottle. But the bigger, like a pea, is going to take longer to soak because it's a bigger seed. So you might have to soak it for 24 to 36 hours sort of thing before you take it out and you start to germinate it a bit. Okay, and so if you match, I like to mix and match often. I didn't this time for the sake of showing you, but you can match seed sizes. So for example, the alfalfa and the red clover with the broccoli, which you can't see, but they're all sort of similar sized. So they're small. So they would take the same amount of time to germinate or to sprout immersed in water. So what you do, you take a jar, or maybe I'll show you the lids first. So the options for lids, mason jars always come with lids with a full flat disc. What you can do, I've lost it again. You can take, here it is. You can take cheesecloth. So it's just cheesecloth, that's all it is. And you can take your jar, you lay the cheesecloth over the jar, and then, this isn't a jar for this ring, but then the ring just fits back on top, and the air can access it through here, and you can dump out the water this way as well. Oops, still some water in there. So that is one way you can make a lid, a makeshift lid. You can also, I guess, buy like sheets of plastic mesh. You'd have to get the right size, mind you, from probably the dollar store or the hardware store, and then you can cut it to size and do the same thing. Make a makeshift lid. Just has to be the right size for the right seed so that the smallest seeds won't go through it, or maybe the small seeds you use the mesh, and the big ones you could use the plastic mesh homemade one for it, and then you screw the lid on top. It'll hold that down the same way. You can pour the water right through it. Makes it very easy. You can also get these handy dandy pre-made, mind you, they only make it for the big mason jar lids, sprouting lid. Okay, so I don't know if this says who it's by. Handy Pantry, that's the name of the company, Handy Pantry. And it just looks like this. So it's just a lid pre-made. Holes are, I don't know if we can see that. Holes are right in there, a big mesh. Hi. Yeah, then you just throw that on instead, and the same thing. It's all pre-done. You don't have to think about anything else. So it depends what you have available. I'm sure you can find these online. I find them at my local market. There's some fermenting people and some sprouting people, and so both of those type of people are seed people. They all have the lids available for purchase. So your next step, I'm gonna make the mix of the smaller seeds. I'm gonna have so much to eat in the next few days because I already made a bunch on display, and I went a little overboard with some of the mung beans. So, oh yes, I didn't show you the mung beans. Mung beans are sort of one of the larger ones again. So you can mix mung and pea, or start the peas and then put the mungs in with it the next day for the last 24 hours, or if you were doing it 36 hours, so that it wasn't too long. So I'm just gonna take my jar, I'm gonna pour in, you know, maybe that's probably a tablespoon, and I'm gonna mix it. So I'm gonna take a seed of equal size, and I do like different ones will have different spiciness. So the daikon radish, that's a nice spicy one. The broccoli is spicy. What else do we have here? The kale can be spicy when it's small as well. So that's gonna add a nice hit to your salad or top of your meal, wherever you're putting it. Or just popping it in your mouth, because that's also delicious. So we're gonna add another tablespoon, and it's just mixed up in there, see? So it'll be, you'll never know which one you're getting. It'll be exciting. So that's what we do there. And then we're gonna take our lid, which I'm just gonna give it a wipey wipe because I haven't washed it yet, and that is one of my new ones. So we're gonna take, actually I'll just put the water right in first. Take fresh, clean water. I have a machine that cleans it really well, so I use that. Fill it up. It's gonna absorb a lot of water. They'll probably double in size. So make sure you have enough water to make that happen. And you're gonna, the biggest thing about, oops, no, they're everywhere. The biggest thing about sprouting is the rinse and repeat. So that's the only thing you really have to do after this point, is you have to make sure twice a day, at least twice a day, you're rinsing and repeating, because you want to keep the water fresh in there. And you want, once it's done soaking, I rinse and repeat even in the soaking process, just because I'm doing all the other sprouts anyway. And then once it's done doing the soak, and you could always write on here with a marker when you started if you have multiple ones and you don't want to forget. Once it's done with the soak, then you're going to have something like this. This one was my, what did I do in here? This is my mung bean. If you can see, some of them have tails. I'll try and take a few out just so you can see them specifically. This has been sprouting for a day and a half. So it was soaked and done a day and a half ago, and now it's been sitting in my window, and there are some with some teeny tiny tails on it. So I'll probably let it go another 2 days, but you could eat them right now. You could eat them as they are. They're nice and crunchy. They have all the nutrient benefits, but if you let them grow a little bit more, they'll get that nice tail and some of the leaves starting, a little more chlorophyll action, and you might have to add them. I set them in my window at that point, just to get that happening. Now these aren't super sprouted. And again, I do believe these were my alfalfa though. So I don't know if you can see that. See the little tails? Now that is nutritious goodness in there. It's like a whole plant. You're eating a whole plant at once. You can't lose, right? And you don't even notice them when they're on salads and whatever thing it is that you love to eat. Just throw it right on there. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna sprout this probably one more day, see if I can get the tails going a little bit more. I just put water on it twice a day now, and I'm going to lid that up. Now this one isn't made for that jar, so I'm gonna hold it a little. And then you just dump it back out. Make sure all the water is gone. I try to make sure all the seeds are sort of spread out and sitting, you know, getting enough air. And then if you can, ideally, if you can have it tipped in a cup. There's a picture on the site from my pre-post talking about how I was going to do a post on it. Shows it how it's sitting in a cup in a bowl so that it can stay in this position and the water can drain off and it will never pool up. So that's ideal. If not, these ones actually were not on an angle. They were all stacked on top of each other like a frightening pyramid that could fall at any time. But they had bookends. They had glass ends, basically. So here is my other one, and this, I believe, was, which one did I do? I think I did my kale was my other set. I'll try and take some out so you can look. It's the same thing. Some of them are really long already. Some of them have a little ways to go. So you could eat it at any time. Matter of fact, here we go. But no, that's the daikon radish. Nice and spicy. So again, you could eat it at any time, or you can go a little longer. So I'm going to give this my rinse because I waited for this to be able to do it. And because I don't have another proper jar, they don't make it for the small mason jars. So what I've been doing, been taking my big one, make sure all the seeds get wet because they want to be damp, but they can't stay wet or they'll rot. And then I'm just going to pour it. I have a nice bowl here. I'm just going to pour it out, shake it a little, make sure every drip comes out. Tap it back in. Pesky little remainders. And then I'm going to let it sit, spread it out as much as possible. Let it sit, or ideally sit it on an angle, and then those last few drips. Really careful, you can just do it like that. Let that one sit one more day as well. I think this is my kale. This one hasn't sprouted. This was a day later. As you can see, it's just starting to germinate. So it's just finished its soaking process. Same thing. Woo! Just get them all wet. And then we're just gonna dump the water out. Like that. It doesn't have to be exact. You don't have to have exactly the right things. I just wanted to show you that you can do it with whatever you have at the house. You could be doing this with the cloth too. You could probably do it with a thin enough tea cloth, like a thin enough dish towel. You could use an elastic band to wrap it around if you don't have the mason jar ends or jars that the mason jar bottoms fit on. Just take an elastic band, loop it around the top once or twice to get that cheesecloth to sit for the mesh spout, okay? So same thing, I'm just gonna sort of spread it out as much as possible so that it can get some airflow in there, not be too stagnant. And let's see if we can get our last couple of drips in there. So it's fresh again. They're moist again because they do need to stay moist. And and you just have to keep rinsing the water. So the last one that I have that's ready are the mung beans. The mung beans look like that. Yeah. See that one? The tail is fairly long. Anyway, it's going in me, so. Crunchy, lovely. Again, it's a whole plant in one little seed. It's delightful, and it's such a nutrient enhancement for your daily regime. Ooh, ooh, and easy. Once you get into it, it's totally easy. See, this one doesn't fit either. It doesn't. It's not a mason jar. So what I did was I took an elastic and I just attached it like that. You have to be slightly cautious. It's not rocket science. It's just habits. Get into good habits. Add this to your diet. If you're adding all kinds of nutrients, you're adding roughage. It's just a wonderful, fabulous augmentation to your daily habits. Please start this as soon as you can. Get anything, and whatever you were going to plant in the summer, if you have leftover seeds from last year, sprout them. Sprout them and eat them. Some of them you could sprout even now. You could save like 10 of them and actually start to plant them soon. You could plant them in little, pre-made packets. So there you go. Easy peasy, simple The only thing some people complain about is that sometimes the sprouts are really pale looking. And again, if that happens, then my suggestion is the last day or two, you put them in the windowsill, let them get some natural light, because that's the chlorophyll stimulation, and then they'll green up really nicely for you. And what's another common problem? I can't think of anything. Mold would be the only other thing, that it sits in water too much. So you want to make sure that, again, that there's enough airflow in there, that you're draining enough of the water so that maybe it's tipped, so that all of the water is coming off, or you're shaking it really well before that happens. Okay, give it a go. Hashtag replay if you're watching this on the replay. Give me some love. Show me that you're watching this and that it's adding value to your life. I'd really appreciate that. So like it, and we will talk to you soon. And remember, super, super easy. And if you want any more easy, simple tips to add all kinds of nutrients to your diet, to your body, then just message me and we can have a chat, okay? Love you all. Take care. Good health to you. Mwah. Peace.